This is your daily market recap from Monday, September 19th, 2022. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at EXPI Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market recap for Monday, September 19th, 2022. Hopefully you had a great weekend. Hopefully you watched the weekend recap because we talked about the repeating patterns. Also, too, if you're new to the channel, make sure you follow me on Twitter. There is a Discord room. I'm going to be keeping it pretty much closed to most people. If you really want to get in, message me. Try to figure something out. I appreciate all the donations, love, and support. And at this point, let's talk about what is going on. Again, check out on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow all the post daily recaps and back to basics videos. There's freaking 50 of them plus, so not rocket science. There's plenty of stuff to be learned and grow from. The Discord room is when people are ready. It's the next kind of level to take all the education and put it together. Bitcoin, not surprised, chopping sideways. Really have no near-term expectations other than chop. Got to get over 25. Need to get below 17. If not, it could just go sideways. People don't really understand sideways, but that's part of the game. When you have an equilibrium between buyers and sellers, you're going nowhere. So until that changes, I would not assume much. But if you're short, know your stops. If you're long, know your stops. Oil seems to be holding this trend line pretty good. I still expect 60s at some point. Talked about the short up here. If you're shorting it, congratulations. Just be aware, geopolitical risk, hurricanes, all sorts of little things. I would be looking to short maybe more pops, or as I've been talking about, I'd look to short maybe the solar and EV kind of names as oil comes down, because again, their competitiveness goes down the tubes once energy prices decrease. Now, a lot of people might argue with that sentiment or that rationale, but go study the past. There was a time where solar names, for example, were the hot commodity in hot trading, hot stocks, and they got absolutely bludgeoned in 2008. We'll talk about it because I'm putting them on my short list. Absolutely. Because retail's all in. Electric vehicles and all this green energy stuff, which, again, long term, believe in it. Don't believe in the stocks. Big difference. Big difference, my friends. Dollar, talked about it. Probably going to get tired up here. Looking pretty tired, monthly trend line. Also, if you go look at the monthly chart, I said I would not be surprised if we retested the breakout. We're breaking out over the 29s. We came back to it and held. If I'm a bull, I know this doesn't sound appealing to most bulls, but I wouldn't mind like a couple month pullback. Probably not a month, but just just to let it consolidate a little. Because what happens when you get these straight line moves, you need this consolidation. You need this chop in between. So, because you don't want it to turn into that straight line move up. We'll see what happens. The dollar, again, has a multitude of factors. A multitude of factors. Just be safe, be thoughtful. TLT bonds, here's the monthly, expecting the same kind of thing before 2008 smash in the market. Got smashed and TLT popped. Again, after inflation comes deflation. It always. So, we're not 100% sure on the TLT bottom, but if you go zoom in, you got references. You got references here. Those last couple days. Now, people are like, hey, when's it gonna rip? It's probably waiting for the Feds, folks. The VIX talked about it being churned and burned at the highs. Here it comes on down. Still expecting this gap to fill. I don't know when, but it will. Maybe it happens again. My anticipation now, if you go look at some of the market stuff, look through the Vixen, pulling back again, open at the high, boom. Keep in mind this morning, if you followed me on Twitter, what did we talk about? Where is Twitter, by the way? I thought I had it here. I guess I deleted it. Nope, there it is. ES futures, the double W pattern at the bottom. Talked about it. Watching closely. Now short term, probably getting back to the 39s. Trading can be so frustrating yet easy at times. That downgrade or that FedEx warning 5 days before their earnings is rather ominous and weird how it happened during OPEX. SPY. Here we go. Talked about it. The reoccurring patterns of fun. Here was the last quarterly OPEX, followed by the RIP. Quarterly OPEX, followed by the RIP. Near term, I think you're going to get stuck here in the 395, 397 range. I still think we could possibly get back up here. I've said this, if you watch previous videos, what do we say? It's going to be a chop top, or it's going to be like this double top here, where you pop, and I know we made a new lower low, but you come right back. I personally think it kind of reminds me of this action in May, but you could top coming into what, the end of the month, and then double up chop. I mean, again, the problem with the markets that I have as a long-term bear, I am a very convinced long-term bear that CPI always leads to a recession, major one, when it gets over 5%. It's happened every time. Well, getting up to 9 is going to lead to a big recession, but it's not a straight line move. I talk about this all the time. A bear market is a trader's market until the smash at the end. Everybody's bearish again. Talked about if you get over the 2-day range, this is bullish. Close at the highs. You got a couple days of up, and I think the Feds you might kind of chop, do this on the Fed day and then rip, or we just pull back like this and then boom, and it just rips, and then you kind of start peeling over and come back Thursday, Friday. Either way, there's some up into this week. I promise that. It's just a matter of it's kind of the levels and what the Feds say. I personally think they're going to walk back their 75 basis point rate hike expectations in November. If anything, they're going to probably do what? They're going to say, we're going to be data dependent. Well, if they're data dependent, the data is bad, right? Like, write that down. Like, keep in mind, I always tell people, like, listen for the diamond nuggets when you listen to these meetings. Like, there's only one or two things that really matter. And if they say data dependent for the next one, well, that could be more what? Potentially dovish. Listen, I'm taking my own notes. Because again, that becomes very obvious. If they say that, the market's going to be like, oh, well, the data's so bad, well, then the market has to rip. And that means they're, what? Oh, they're cutting rates. No, they probably won't. But again, you have to think about how the sentiment goes from extreme to extreme. CPI, everyone's excited about the CPI being lower. Then it comes out and drops, and they talk the Fed. I mean, it's just, again, Jackson Hole, it pops, then it fails. I mean, it's just a never-ending trap game. Put call ratios are way too high, too. QQQ talked about this action, kind of reminiscent of down here, but this is even bullish, more bullish. Talked about once it got over 290, probably get back up into the 300s minimum. I mean, I would not be surprised if at any point on a rally, if there is one, it's a swift like this. It just goes zzz. And again, look at the level. I mean, he went from 279 up to 314. That's 35 points on the Qs. Very possible here. Or if it's just this 3 days, and then here's the Thursday after the FOMC. I mean, do the math. 310 up to 330. Would you take 20 points from down here? Because 285 takes you to what? 305. Decent amount of upside if you can trade it. Trader's market. IWM. Talked about this today. IWM, you know, Qs and SPYs are down here. IWM had a doji on Friday, and look at today's action. Boom. I said things that aren't bearish. Remember? Gold. Leave it alone. I know there's decent volume there on Thursday, but what have we said? Usually the chop, channel, and then break fail. I still think gold long-term goes much higher, but I think it's stuck in this purgatory for months, maybe weeks. Don't know. Silver, same thing. Everyone say, oh, it's breaking your up channel. I'm like, this channel isn't that important. I've always said multitude of times. There's really only 2 times to ever really buy silver the last 20 years. When the Fed started cutting in 2008, zing, and when the Fed started cutting with COVID. Between that, there's just a bunch of idiots pumping silver constantly, and it just hasn't gone anywhere. And I think at some point, silver does. Hear me not wrong. 100. It's just not going to happen when people think it is. GDX. Leave it alone. I know. No, leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Same thing with the GDX. Like, there's only really been 2 times to buy it. 2009, Zikapow. 2015, when the Feds kind of, I don't know, when they said they were going to continue to keep rates longer for lower. than COVID. Not now. I'm just telling you. I mean, everyone. It's funny because this is the thing. I'm using people as sentiment. Everybody attacks me relentlessly on gold, silver, the miners, uranium, whatever since April, and we've been dead right because of repeating patterns and my knowledge of gold and silver, that stuff, commodities. You have to believe the best time to buy the stuff is when everybody gives up. And I'm telling you right now, the sentiment on FinTwit is way too bullish to be a bottom. You just don't bottom with that kind of kumbaya, holding hands, singing songs, licking lollipops around a freaking campfire, eating s'mores too. Doesn't happen like that. AG. Hey, talked about it, just going to be sloppy and choppy. Leave it alone. Newmont. Leave it alone. This one scares me because I don't think people realize in 2008, Newmont was cooking and holding up real well, and then all of a sudden the bottom pulled out of it. Just when the VIX spikes to 90, everything gets thrown out. Baby with the bathwater. And look, here it is again. Nice little uptrend, and is it going to break it? Is it going to break it? Be aware. PAAS. Dead. Just dead. I mean, it's again, the monthly channel should bounce. Daily just looks dead. Absolutely dead. Now I know people are like, oh, isn't that time to buy it when it looks dead? And it's like, no, we got to get everybody out, y'all. Got to get everybody out. This one looks interesting, AEM, because you had volume at the lows. You should get a retest at some point. Set your alarms. X. Remember, steel names guided down. We talked about the 200-day. Leave it alone. I love commodities long term, but just leave them alone. They're going to be super volatile. If you don't know that, study the past. Coming out of the 2000s bubble, commodities got super volatile. Super volatile. Newmont or Nucor guided down. See you in the 90 to 80 range minimum. Might get lower. VALE. Again, expected bounces. Don't be surprised. We talked about this. It's going to be choppy. I've said it. I'm not sitting here going, well, gold's going down immediately. No, I think it's just going to be choppy. I don't think silver's going to the floor yet. When the VIX blows out, the market gives up, that's when it's going to be the slam. It's just, you're going to realize, like, nothing really goes much higher anyway. Like, there's going to be stuff that doesn't really go anywhere. A lot of stuff won't. And maybe these names pop, but you're playing the low probability long-term entry. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I just want to buy an old CCJ. And it's like, no. We talked about the upper range bound dropping. Then I even said today, somebody was asking, oh, I'm shorting CCJ because it's going lower. I'm like, dude, you cannot short this stuff and expect a huge down move if the market's going to hold up. Maybe it does pull back. Maybe it acts weak, but I'm just telling you guys, don't short materials names until either they're at the highs or just wait for the market to like find its levels. Then you can go throw a freaking dart at a dartboard of tickers and start shorting them. Materials will drop. I'm telling you. Arrow, same thing. Eights. Leave it alone. Absolutely leave it alone. Mosaic. Ag names got some nice pops. Interesting action. OPEX, look at that. Doji, pop back. Love these names long term, but you couldn't pay me to own them for the long term. Do I want to short them? No, I just feel like there's easier shorts. Hope that makes sense. Just sometimes there's just easier trades. AMD, talked about it yesterday on the weekend rate. Holding, compressing. Looks like it's going to bounce. Probably back to 85 to 90. People are going to be surprised. Not this guy. SMH, talked about it. I mean, they all look the same. Holding the range lows. Think it's going to pop. Probably up to 220. Said that. I mean, it looks like this kind of action, y'all. It's just, you get all this like sloppy, choppy at a bottom. Then you roll over. Because what I would love is a choppy action and then a rollover. Let's get some chop action here. Let's get it. Get chopped out. Chop it, chop. Repeating patterns all day. All day, son. NVIDIA bought this today. Man, NVIDIA is such a piece of junk, but guess what? Gap down on a warnings. High and tight. Holding in here. I mean, barely could get below the low of it. Now it's bouncing back. Kramer hates it. Hey, guess what? Maybe we should like it. Now, I'm not expecting the world. But what about 150? What about filling this gap? Maybe the 20-day. Seems very reasonable. You buy it at 132. I'll take 18 puntos. 18 puntos, hombre. Adobe. I'm just going to roll through a lot of tech names. Gap down, tight. Remember the 3-day rule? You could have sold puts anytime when the IV was huge. Now it's tightening up. Looks like it's compressing. Oh, we own a buttload of Apple. Hope you're prepared. You see why. Talked about the Friday trap. Long wick. Here she goes. What do you think Apple's going to do? oh, here come their great numbers and sales, pre-sales, whatever, yada, yada, yada. It's so damn predictable. Now, again, don't be surprised. Look at what this thing can do. It can go in 3 days from 154 up to 166, 12, 13 points. I mean, what about this move? 133 up to 150s? I don't know where it's going, but I think it's going back up to some range high. Please enjoy the run. Bought Amazon today because, again, they got hit on FedEx's numbers. I was watching it today. I'm like, man, it's holding the 100-day. Why wouldn't it pop up to the 130s again? I'll take it. I know it's not a ton of points, but the options are dirt cheap. Stock, I mean, again, I'll take 10%. Seems reasonable. Seems very reasonable. I mean, just to get up to here, maybe it gets stupid. Maybe it gets stupid. I don't know. You don't know. Just be prepared for what? The bears and the bulls to always be getting trapped. And when I say always, think of retail. Think of the other side of the trade. The market makers are taking these people's money. CRM, how can you not like it here? You got a reference. Hold down here, should be good. Google, talked about like the 100, 102 area. Here you go. Made a higher low, closed above the highs. Short term, it's bullish at worst. Meta, even Meta, same kind of thing. 2-day range. Now I know it's lower. It's probably like the least attractive one, but I mean, you're in the volume at price zone. You're at the weekly, like, check out the monthly on this real quick. You're at some of the monthly trend lines. I mean, if you're a bear, the chop is okay. Because then it gets all these people buying, and then when it's wrong, it really gets slaughtered. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Microsoft stopped out pretty low today, but it's like, you know what, there's just better trades out there, but I'm not surprised it held 240, bounced back. Looks okay to me. At the time, I just thought Apple had more near-term upside, same to Amazon. That's what was my thinking. MicroStrategy, man, look at this. Gets under 200, held back up, popped back up. I mean, none of this stuff really looks that bearish. Netflix, what planet is this to look bearish? Like, this thing is really near the short-term highs. Now, I know they got to upgrade today. Maybe get stuck for a couple days because retail's been buying the heck out of Netflix, but things that aren't bearish. Things that aren't bearish. Roblox. Things that do look interesting, though. 100-day. Here you go. I know they had some weakness on their earnings guidance, I think, from, like, they do monthly, like, updates. We'll see what happens. 100-day. Pretty simple. Tesla. Things that don't look bearish, right? Here you go. EV names. Now, like, put this in your, you know, this is one of the things people, because I'm going to go over the EV names I'm looking to short. Like, you probably don't need to short EV names until Tesla tops. Just keep that in mind. So let's get into those names. Did I do SMH, AMD? Yeah, NVIDIA. Yep. I'm going to pull this up because this is a new sector for folks who are following. The TAN, if you're not familiar, this thing has a much loved history. You know, we talk about ETFs coming out when things are hot. Solar was so hot. Not so much. So, where are we now? We're just chopping in a high and tight pattern. I keep telling people just wait. I mean, I am itching, scratching. Maybe it's a yeast infection. No, I'm just kidding. No, just wait for the levels. I set an alarm, and you can see at 89. Hopefully it gets there. Because then my alarm for the other shorts. I mean, you could pull up any of these names. You tell me which one you want. ENPH. This one's at the monthly channel. Highs. Overbought. Completely overbought. But again, chop out. Maybe it does this. This is what, you know, some form of chop out and then flop out. Again, watch Tesla. I think that's going to be fine. Makes sense. What is this one? Solar Edge. I mean, dude, solar is struggling right now. People don't realize it. Like, I know they might be getting credits, but people are not adding solar systems. Like, they can barely afford to pay for their cars, gas. They're not adding solar systems. I mean, it's pretty bad. But this one has a little more difficult of a, I would say, like, potential trying to pick the top here. You're probably going to have to look at, I would say, probably in this 330 range. Maybe it tries to fill the gap. 340. I don't know. This one might be a little harder. I might stick to First Solar and ENPH. Here you go. Big trend lines. People don't remember First Solar because, like I do. Hey-oh. Hey-oh. 317 down to 78. Hey. Oh, yeah, like this thing can get smoked. Watch up here. And this is the thing. Don't be surprised if the market rises. This gets into this like chop mode, okay? Absolute chop mode. And that's okay. That is absolutely okay. But just do yourself a favor, right? Don't jump into these names early unless you're at levels. And again, I still wouldn't either. If the market looks like it's strong, these names can still come down because, again, retail's piled into them. This is where it gets really funny, is you see this. Sometimes, like, you see short, like, pieces of junk start rising when the market drops. It's because people start selling and covering their crappy shorts to short everything else. Well, you can see that sometimes when people hide out in a sector and then the market starts rising, they're like, oh, well, the easy money's done. I'm out. And I'm going to go buy ABC stock. So keep an eye on that. I think First Solar looks the juiciest with the tan because they're the safest, and PhD, whatever. They got a ton of shares. We'll see. I would just be careful. NDAQ talked about this getting up to 64. Retest and short. That would be delightful. EXPI. Man, this thing got down to like range lows. Range lows. Down here. What was it? 70? Did it get down to 80.35? Look at that hammer. Bounced right back. I still think it's probably going to chop around up to 89.90. It makes sense. I mean, think about it. The market has everybody out of position. You got to put everybody in the chokehold. XLF, things that aren't bearish. We talked about holding up pretty well. Look at today's action. Gap down, close at the high, engulfing bar. Things that aren't bearish. Morgan Stanley. Things that aren't bearish. Right back. Financials coming right back. Zing. Things that aren't bearish. And again, I don't want to do that things aren't bearish series over and over, but that's the truth. That's the truth. Getting rid of EXPI, it's just trash. UTHR, getting rid of that. Man, actually, fine. I'll look at it. It's if it breaks this old breakout, if it breaks the old breakout, you got problems. Keep that on your mind. Let's end it with petroleum, EUSO, held channel lows, bounce back. I would love to see this downtrend test. If it doesn't get there, probably gonna have to wait again in the mid 70s. Nat gas, nice call. Some people were shorting this one. Cool. Holding here sneakily. Talked about this could be like this was a double top. Now people are saying head and shoulders top. Again, I don't really believe that these names are going to get absolutely bludgeoned until the market drops. XOP, nice gap down and close at the highs of the day. I mean, is it something like this? It comes back up. I would remember these names get bought if the market rises. I don't care if oil and gas are kind of crappy; they can still pop. ExxonMobil, same kind of thing. Like should have been down today. Boink, bounces right back. Closes at the high of the day, which was flat. Things that aren't bearish. If you have any questions, hit me up on social media again. Leave a comment. Drop a like on YouTube. I really appreciate interacting with the videos. And if you have questions, it might be the best place to start. All the super fans, super chats, donations, love that stuff. Because again, I know people realize very quickly your tuition bill in trading can be based off your mistakes. If it's based off your mistakes, well then guess what? You really don't know your costs. If you want to try to learn on my behalf, that's where I'm trying to make this easy for folks. You know, I've made every mistake 1,000 times. My goal is to educate folks who want to be educated. So I appreciate the love and support. And again, if you're thinking about real estate, oh my God, people are freaking out in certain places, which again, if you want to get in the Sun Belt, you want to get near the mountains, you want to be in good places, this is the time to start looking because second homes or places that are a little more desirable, now you're going to get a little bit more of an equilibrium. You're going to get some prices that they're not going to dump like some of the junkier places in the country. Apologize if that's a place you live, but that's the reality is that people are moving and work remotely. If you're looking to buy investment properties or move, I'm telling you, this is the time to start looking. People were pissed off about paying $50,000, $100,000 over ask. Well, now you're getting prices where sellers are paying part of your closing costs. Sellers are, got to get out. And you know what? The prices have come down. Great. People don't realize, like, the houses prices in Denver alone, the first 3 months of the year were up 20%. Now they pulled back 10%. People are like, housing recession. Nah, I'm trying to buy as much as I can. I don't care. I'll refinance later. All right. Hope this helps. Have a great night. Be smart. Be safe out there. Know that you know. Take notes. I promise it makes a big difference. Talk to you later. Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, a PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.